And if we focus now a little bit on Broward County, we heard earlier from Broward County Mayor Barbara Sharif. She mentioned that the shelters there, they want to get them closed as soon as possible. They want people to leave as soon as it's safe for them to do so. Now, some people may need extended assistance and a place to stay, so they're going to open up some temporary transitional shelters at some point, but they haven't announced those just yet.
And there's still about 13,000 people still left in them, so plenty of people want to get home. And right now we have Joan Murray at the Arthur Ashe Technical School, which was a shelter. People are beginning to leave, Joan. I'm sure they're getting anxious to get home.
They are, and they had upwards of 1,400 people in the shelter. You can see a lot of people spread about the campus right now. Some people are waiting for rides. Some people are waiting for public transportation. Some people are just getting their bearings after a long few days. Now, this was one of more than a dozen shelters the county opened in preparation for the storm. Many of them filled up quickly, including this one. This was a Red Cross run shelter here in Broward County. And I want to talk to someone so everyone can get an idea what it's been like in there. This gentleman, Earl Jackson, you've been here, you said, since Thursday. So describe what it was like in there. That's a lot of days to be spending with over 1,000 strangers, right?
It is. They're not all in one room, fortunately. It was a little bit packed, but you know, considering the short amount of time that they had to prepare and the volume of people that they were dealing with, they really did a superb job at taking care of everybody, making sure everybody had a place to lay their head and something to eat, you know.
Did most people come with a sleeping bag or some kind of blanket? Because you really had to be self-sufficient going in there. They wanted people to bring their own, you know, water and snacks and bedding.
I'd say probably 2/3 of them had something as far as blankets and so forth. They were able to provide 3 meals a day. Salvation Army and a couple other agencies managed to get by and supply some blankets for some people. So on the whole, everybody was fairly well comfortable, you know, given the circumstances that we were in.
So how much could you hear the storm last night?
I actually came outside several times during the middle of the night, and the storm really, I didn't feel like was that bad, because this is my 9th hurricane, you know, so I didn't feel like it was that bad. I've been in worse.
And they lost power?
Lost power for a few hours. You know, we were on generator and you know, we couldn't plug in cell phones or anything like that. But for the most part, we had power, phone service, all that.
What do people spend the time doing? Were there kids and were they playing like board games and crossword puzzles? I mean, how do people, they had their devices, what did people do?
Well, we had our phones, a bunch of us had decks of cards, books. They did have a TV there to where we could keep up with the news. So, you know, everybody pretty well stayed occupied. If you weren't doing that, then yeah, I guess you were just taking a nap. But on the whole, everybody managed to stay pretty well occupied. You got a chance to meet some new friends.
That's nice. So you were able to watch the coverage of the storm, and you know, it was very dicey at many points. Were people a little worried about maybe what they would be going home to?
Well, particularly when we first got here, yeah, because when we first got here Thursday, the predictions were still that we were going to pretty much take a direct hit with a Cat 5 storm. You know, and as things progressed, it wound up that we weren't going to get that. So a lot of folks were more relieved that we were just catching the outer edges of it. But still this morning, you know, there's some uneasiness about what you're going home to, because, you know, I mean, we do live in a low-lying county. You know.
So you don't know whether maybe you experienced some flooding or some, you know, minor structural damage, right?
Exactly. And I was just walking back through the neighborhood behind us here, and there's a lot of trees down and stuff, so there could be some damage to some homes.
Did anybody leave in the middle of everything? Because as I understand it, they cannot make anybody stay. So did you see some people, as it looked like maybe the storm was turning, some evacuees decided to go before the storm hit?
Not that I'm aware of. Everybody pretty much stayed in place to work until this morning. You know, just to be on the safe side. I mean, you're already here, you might as well just wait it out.
Everybody relieved to be getting out today. I understand there's over 1,000 people still, so it's a sort of a slow rollout leaving. Are people just kind of gathering everything, trying to
Most of the people that can leave are leaving this morning. You know, there are people here like from Salvation Army and the Hack and some homeless people that are not sure yet what the situation is, where they're going back to, that may wind up spending the night. But probably over half of them are gone already by now.
Was this your first time you ever?
This is the first time out of 9 hurricanes, this is the first time I ever came to a shelter. Because
you just felt it was not safe to be out?
Yeah, we were looking at 180-mile-an-hour winds, and I just wasn't comfortable staying at home.
Okay. Overall, though, sounds like a pretty good experience.
It could have been a lot worse. Really could have.
Okay, thank you, Earl Jackson.
Thank you.
Very much appreciate. Hope your home is okay.
Yeah,
Earl Jackson, just one of more than 1,000 people staying out here at the Atlantic Technical College Arthur Ashe campus. And again, they still have over 1,000 people in there. Take a look and you can see somebody else walking out with their suitcase and their bedding. That's what kind of morning it's been, and this slow release is going to be going on for some time. And as Earl Jackson mentioned, and you mentioned there on the desk, that the county is looking. This particular shelter did have a number of homeless people, and so they're looking to help these people beyond the storm, instead of just leaving here and maybe putting them back out on the street. Also some people who maybe have some special needs. So again, looks like everything went very smoothly except for that brief power outage last night. Back to you.
Joan,
Sure.
Is it a process to leave, or can they just walk out the door?
You mean when the storm was going on, or
no, right
are you
now,
saying?
today, this
I
morning.
asked the can they just leave? Yeah.
Yeah, they can just check out and go at this point.
Apparently they do, because you have to sign in and then you have to sign out. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a formal process, but it's taking some time because there's 1,000 people in there. They were mainly being put up, I understand, in the cafeteria and some additional rooms, a lot of close quarters.
Still a pretty honest assessment from Earl there. He did say he took a peek outside during the storm. He didn't think it was so bad. I'd be curious to know what he says as he starts driving or making his way home and seeing all the debris everywhere. Joan, if you can just quickly maybe show us around.
Well, this isn't.
Sure, if you can just show us around that building.
This is kind of the northwest section. No, I didn't see any trees down here. And again, in fairness, this section, the northwest section, and we have been driving around a little bit, I didn't see as many down trees. The bulk of, I think, the tree limbs and all that are more in the eastern edge of Fort Lauderdale, as well as Pompano and Deerfield, up and down Federal Highway, Dixie Highway, where we were yesterday. Not to say there aren't some palm fronds and some other limbs out here, but I don't think we had nearly in this section of the city. This is west of 95, and a lot of the stuff we're talking about hit east of 95.
And Joan, when will that shelter close officially?
Well, as I understand it, they give them, there isn't like a, I guess you'd say, they're giving them a couple of hours to slowly leave. And in fact, they may not close because, as he indicated, and I got the impression from talking to one of the sheriff's deputies here, that if you're homeless, you know, they're looking for places to put people, and this might end up being a temporary location, maybe for an extra night. I'm not sure, but they don't have any plans to bolt the door at this point.
Yeah, they may turn that into one of the transitional shelters, or maybe move the people there to a transitional shelter, as Mayor Sharif mentioned.
Right.
Joan, thank you so much.
They have
Joan
a lot
Murray
of
reporting
space
live
here
from Fort Lauderdale.